Eyewitness testimony is one of the most important types of evidence in the justice system. It can be used to convict or acquit a defendant, and it can have a profound impact on the lives of everyone involved. But eyewitness testimony is not always reliable. In fact, studies have shown that eyewitnesses are often inaccurate, and their testimony can be influenced by a number of factors, including stress, time, and memory bias. In this video, we're going to explore the science of eyewitness testimony. We'll look at how the human brain processes information and how factors like stress, time, and memory bias can affect eyewitness testimony. We'll also look at some famous cases where eyewitness testimony has been challenged or overturned. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the challenges of eyewitness testimony, and you'll be able to think critically about the reliability of eyewitness evidence. The human brain is an incredibly complex organ, and it's not always perfect. When we see something, our brains don't simply record a perfect image of the object. Instead, our brains process the information and create a mental representation of the object. This mental representation is what we remember. The process of creating a mental representation is called encoding. Encoding is influenced by a number of factors, including the following. Attention. We are more likely to remember things that we pay attention to. If we're not paying attention, we're less likely to remember the details of an event. Rehearsal. The more we rehearse something, the more likely we are to remember it. For example, if we see a crime, we're more likely to remember the details if we think about them repeatedly after the event. Emotion. We're more likely to remember things that are emotionally charged. For example, we're more likely to remember the details of a car accident than we are to remember the details of a trip to the grocery store.
Though they don't know it, they're minutes away from becoming eyewitnesses to a murder. All they know now is that the railway is a pub near the studio that serves food.
Take me all day. Why not? What's the problem? It is, no. I was just saying to you, girl, mate, right? First time I've seen her smile. Sit down. First time I've seen her smile was when you was in the toilet. Just go. Just go. Dean! Sit down. Shut up. You fucking shut up. Get outside, then. Stop it. No, outside. You're cheating me. Get outside. You. Jimmy, shut that. Give me your bags. Slide. You started this. What are you doing? Knock him out. Give him in. Give him in. Stop him. Stop him. Jimmy, come here. Look what you made me do. He's been stabbed.
You phoned an ambulance.
Dean.
Yeah, phone an ambulance.
Bleeding. Yeah, I need an ambulance. Dean, don't leave me. Don't leave me. I don't know what to do. Someone help me. I don't want to do Dean.
What happened?
Where are you? Someone call the ambulance. Yeah, don't leave. Get off me.
Calm down.
Just don't move him. Don't move him.
Right, we're not moving him.
Don't leave him. He's not breathing. I don't know what to do. He's not breathing. Who stabbed him? The guy in the yellow?
He's had a stomach punctured. He had a stab wound to the stomach.
1864 Alpha. Yeah, we're stage 6 at the railway. Yeah, we've got a male. He's got a puncture into his abdomen.
On my count, 1, 2, 3.
Our volunteers are now eyewitnesses. The police are handling this crime like a real case.
Once we've encoded an event, it's stored in our memory. Memory is not a perfect system, and it can be affected by a number of factors, including the following. Time. The longer it takes us to recall something, the less accurate our memory is likely to be.
6 weeks after witnessing a fatal pub stabbing, we brought our volunteers back to take part in a photo identification experiment. In the studio, we placed 10 photographs, 3 of which are the actors from the pub fight. The murderer Gordon, his accomplice Jimmy, and the victim Dean. The remaining faces were of a selection of males completely unknown to our witnesses. We then asked them to identify any individuals they recognized and which part they played in the crime.
Number 6, he was the one who was wearing the high-vis jacket.
7 witnesses picked out Jimmy as the rude man in the high-visibility jacket, although most were confused as to the exact role he played in the crime. Surprisingly, no one identified Gordon as the murderer. In fact, only one witness placed him in the pub at the time of the crime.
I think number 1, he was just around the pub.
I recognise number 4.
Number 10 looks familiar, but I don't know why.
I think number 7 was the chap who was just jumping about.
It's very difficult to say.
Number 2. I'm pretty sure number 2.
But most shocking of all was the 2 witnesses identified the same innocent man. A man they could never have seen before as the murderer.
Interference. Our memories can be interfered with by other memories. For example, if we see a number of people who look similar, it can be difficult to remember the details of each person. Memory bias. Our memories are often biased by our expectations and beliefs. For example, if we believe that a person is guilty of a crime, we're more likely to remember details that support our belief. The factors that can undermine the reliability of eyewitness testimony is suggestibility. This refers to the vulnerability of human memory to be influenced by external factors such as leading questions, social pressure, or exposure to false information.
Contacted, hit, bumped, collided, and smashed. And each verb resulted in a different average estimation of speed. A week later, in a follow-up interview, the researchers asked participants if they saw any smashed glass on the scene. Even though there was no smashed glass in the original video, those participants who had been primed with the concept of a high-speed crash in the smashed condition were most likely to report that they had seen broken glass. The power of a word. The following year, Loftus published another paper on leading questions and reliability of eyewitness testimony, this time with Zanni. This time the difference is even more subtle, but amazingly influential. Participants again watched a video of a road accident, this one involving multiple vehicles. Having watched the video, participants were asked a series of questions about the scene. Some participants were asked whether they had seen a broken headlight. They were asked if they had seen the broken headlight. The researchers' use of the definite article "the" in the question led to twice the number of false reports of seeing a broken headlight in the video. There was no broken headlight in the video, but that sneaky little 3-letter word led so many witnesses to swear that there had been.
Leading questions are questions that subtly guide a person towards a particular answer, often implying that certain information is true when it may not be. Being a witness, did you see the suspect carrying a red purse, implies that there was a red purse present. This can cause the witness to unintentionally incorporate the suggested detail into their memory, even if it wasn't there initially. Post-event information. Witnesses can be influenced by information they encounter after the event, which can alter their memory of what happened. For instance, if a witness hears another person's account of the event or reads a news article about it, they may inadvertently adopt some of the details from these sources as their own memories, even if they didn't actually witness those details.
Now at this point you might be thinking, well, what about when a witness isn't asked a leading question? Surely if every word is carefully checked for implicit meaning before questioning, the witness could then rely on their testimony. Well, it still might not be so reliable, as Kronberg et al. Demonstrated in the aftermath of a real, very tragic plane crash in 1992. A plane had taken off from Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, and shortly into the flight had lost control of its engines. The pilots turned the plane around to return to the runway, but the plane lost height and crashed into an 11-story apartment building. Whilst the story had been widely reported in the news, the accident itself hadn't been captured on camera. So 10 months after the crash, Kronbag and colleagues questioned 193 people about it. When asked if they had seen the plane hit the building, 55% of those that had been asked reported that they had, even though they had not been present at the time and there was no video footage. In a follow-up study by the same team, the percentage of people who believed they had seen the crash had risen to 68%, and 67% of interviewees described how they saw the plane hit the building horizontally. Further proof that they were providing false testimony because the plane was vertical at the time of the crash. So were these supposed witnesses compulsive liars? No-gooders who can't distinguish between truth and imagination? No. Even more concerning, they were perfectly ordinary people like you and me who had fallen prey to our biggest strength and weakness, the human ability to self-deceive.
Misinformation effect. This phenomenon occurs when people are more likely to remember false information that was presented to them after the event than the accurate information they originally witnessed. This can lead to creation of false memories or the distortion of existing ones, further complicating the reliability of eyewitness testimony. The factors that influence encoding and memory can all affect the reliability of eyewitness testimony. Eyewitnesses are often inaccurate, and their testimony can be influenced by a number of factors. Eyewitness testimony is still an important part of the justice system, but it's important to use it in conjunction with other forms of evidence. By using multiple sources of evidence, we can increase the accuracy of our decisions and help to ensure that justice is served. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it made you think about eyewitness testimony, and hopefully you learned some stuff. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye!